The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. It is Tuesday, January 14th. Nick has his shirt on right side out now. He jumped on camera inside out, but he fixed things pretty quickly and looks pretty sharp now. So we can bring him in. Nick, what's going on, man?
Oh, tough morning. I can't even put a shirt on, right, Andy? So one step at a time here.
It happens to the best of us. Big slate in the NHL here today for January 14th. Lots of games, just 3 games in the NHL last night. Of course, the Panthers and the Flyers, the Calgary Flames and the Chicago Blackhawks, and then a very tight scoring game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. 1-0 Oilers win, and Connor McDavid, thankfully, scoring that goal, the only goal scored in the contest on his 28th birthday. I cashed that at plus 170 yesterday, and to be honest, I was pretty tired yesterday and fell asleep kind of early, so I didn't actually get to watch most of that game. So when I woke up at about 3:30 a.m. this morning, I saw that McDavid had scored the only goal, and I was quite happy about that. But yeah, big slate today. And road teams kind of getting the short end of the stick here today. The home teams pretty well rested. All but 2 teams, Detroit and Pittsburgh, have had 2 days off heading into this one, or heading into Tuesday, sorry. But the road teams certainly not looking as fresh, with many playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, and a couple playing back-to-back games here, as the Flyers are back in action on Tuesday after their game against the Panthers, and the Calgary Flames back in action after their game against the Chicago Blackhawks. The Flyers in Columbus taking on the Blue Jackets, and the Flames continuing their little road trip on in St. Louis. So let's start with the Montreal Canadiens. I know I'm going to the very end of the slate here because it's a late game versus the Utah Hockey Club, but I don't know where this one is at. I guess I've got to check here and see if the odds have moved before I get excited about this one. And yeah, they're still available at plus 130, plus 135 at Sports Interaction, which I think is a very good price. Nick, obviously, Patrick Laine returned from a 4-game absence and scored Montreal's only goal in the shootout loss to Dallas. That extended their point streak to 4 games. And since December 17th, the Canadiens have posted the league's best win percentage, tied with a couple of other teams, the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights, earning points in 10 of their last 12 games with a 9-2-1 run. Over the last 8 games, Montreal has defeated some pretty good teams: Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Colorado, and your Washington Capitals. But they have gone to overtime or a shootout in 4 straight games. I mean, I got to say, like, they're playing well, right? This run isn't driven just by luck or whatever. They ranked 13th in expected goals percentage during this run, 8th in shots for and against, dating back to December 17th. Only 2 teams have scored more goals per 60 minutes during this stretch, and they also rank 3rd in goals against per 60 and top 10 in expected goals against. So some really strong play from the Canadiens. And of course, it helps to have some great goaltending, and they've gotten that from Jacob Dobbs in his just 3 games. He saved nearly 4 goals above expected, according to Evolving Hockey. He leads the league with a .959 save percentage. And of course, Samuel Montembeault has had a pretty good season, ranking 7th in goals saved above expected among goaltenders who have faced at least 1,000 unblocked shot attempts. So with Laine returning, and obviously Montreal playing some pretty good hockey right now, frankly better than the Utah Hockey Club, and Dylan Guenther now on the shelf for Utah, their 2nd leading scorer and arguably their biggest play driver or offensive driver on the team. I'd say this is a pretty good spot for the Habs, and it's kind of a little bit surprising to see Utah as big of a favorite as they are heading into this one. So I'm on Montreal at plus 135. I like them at plus 130 as well. So I think you've got a lot of options here, a lot of places that you can shop around, try to get the best price. But I think the Habs on the money line are a great play on Tuesday.
Yeah, I like it. I was just absurd we had to even sweat the Canadiens going to overtime versus the Caps. They keep looking good. They played pretty good the next night versus Dallas as well. I do think that to some extent we should see Utah play a little better moving forward, but that's a pretty small argument when you're looking at this kind of a number with how the Habs have been going. Like you said, Gunther's a huge loss. I'm hopeful for our Utah tickets or my bets on them to make the playoffs from before the year. That Dursey and Marino are going to be back. I think Marino is going to play tonight, and I think when they get back, it is going to help a lot because they're drastically better than the guys who have been playing for them on the back end. But I think, like I said, just going to get Marino back tonight, and the Gunther loss hurts a lot. So, yeah,
Has
the
that been
Habs look really
confirmed?
good.
I know he practiced
I
in a
saw
regular
he,
jersey yesterday.
yeah, I thought I saw that he took morning skate in the same pair he practiced at. So,
Yeah.
either way, I think
Dursey is still about a few weeks away by the looks of things, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it sucks for them. I think those tickets would have been good, and they've been this good without those two. So, yeah, tough luck on that front.
For sure. Yeah, this is the fourth game in a 7-game homestand for Utah. They're just 6-9-4 at the Delta Center this season. They've gone 1-2 on this homestand so far. Obviously, losing Gunther in the first game against the Florida Panthers. So I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that they've kind of struggled offensively in the last few games here. And really, the timing couldn't be worse because they had lost 8 of their last 10 games. And on December 20th, this team was just 1 point out of a wild card spot after a 4-game win streak, but they have fallen to 5th since then, 6 points behind the Calgary Flames, who are holding on to the second wild card position right now. According to Evolving Hockey, in all situations, Utah ranks 24th in expected goals and shots percentage in all situations, like I said. And the scoring rates haven't been great either. 25th in goals for and 20th in goals against this season. Yeah, but nice to have Connor Ingram back. Obviously, some definitely fair points raised about him over the weekend or the tail end of last week. We learned that Ingram's mother had passed away, which I mean, unimaginable, right? It's something that I don't claim to know anything about. So it's good that he's back with the team, and a reminder that we don't always know what's going on in the lives of players. Of course, he did have an injury that kept him out for a while, but it was a personal matter that kept him out as long as it did. So yeah, hopefully, I think Utah can still turn things around if they can get some solid goaltending from both Vejmelka and Ingram down the stretch here. And it would probably be a good story, not just for the hockey world, but for your betting portfolio as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how he plays down the stretch. I don't know if we've got a confirmation yet in Montreal. I know Vejmelka was confirmed yesterday, but I'm just double checking here to see if anybody has been confirmed. Nope, nothing on dailyfaceoff.com/starting goldies right now. So we will wait and see. But I'm fine whether it's Dobbs or Montembeault for this one. Nick, what game are we going to talk about next, buddy?
Let's go to the Leafs game. I got a prop I like on that one. Should be a pretty good game. I'm excited to see how the Leafs look. They haven't been so hot lately. So, yeah, I think them versus Stars is a good matchup.
Yeah, 2-day rest advantage for Toronto. Dallas playing their third game in 4 nights. So I'd like to see where you go with this one.
Yeah, I like William Nylander to go over 2.5 shots. It's out there. So Pinnacle's at -1488 looking right now, but Sports Interaction still at -133. And this is for 2.5 shots, not 3.5 shots. So pretty heavy reduction because of how he's been playing lately and how the Stars have been defending. But like you said, pretty big rest advantage for the Leafs here. I think we're going to see them play a better game. I'm honestly getting a little tempted by them, even with them now at, what did I just see? I think it was plus 113. So that's, I think, starting to get a little tempting. I think the Stars have some flaws right now. They're 8-1-1 over the last 10. So obviously they look unreal. They've played one playoff team in that time frame, and they lost, and it was versus Minnesota, who didn't have a lot of guys. So to some extent, I think that they might be a little overvalued off this kind of a stretch. And I like the combination for Nylander here. It's good. They're going to play him with Tavares and Matthew Nyes, I think that's a good unit. In a small sample, they've done really well together this year, generating chances. And I think it sounds like the MO on the top power play unit is just going to be to pour shots on target. They're going to go with the 5-man unit. I think that unit's going to stay out for the majority of the 2 minutes in every one. So all in all, I don't know if we'll see the Stars suppress chances all that well tonight. I think it's a decent spot to target Leaf shooters. And like I said, there's been a huge adjustment when we're looking at Nylander here, who's had a 3.5 shot betting line almost nightly. And now we're getting 2.5 at a decent number. So I think it's a pretty good spot to buy on him in the shot prop market. So yeah, that's the look I like from this one.
Yeah, well, you might not think the Leafs have looked very good as of late, but Mitch Marner likes their effort. So I
Yeah, that
guess
was a
we'll.
tough call. I think he has been pretty good if you want to defend him a little. I think a lot of the guys on the team have been significantly worse than him, but that was
It's just so
not
funny, though.
time
Of
for
course, he
that.
said that, right?
Yeah,
When everybody else is like, "We were too soft. We didn't have enough effort tonight," and then he's like, "Oh, I liked it. Oh, we played good."
yeah, that was
It's such a
oof.
Marner thing. Uh, but I do want to talk about the Boston Bruins. You asked me on last Thursday's show whether I thought the Bruins would pick up a win at all last week. Of course, they had a few tough games with games against the Lightning, Panthers, and Lightning again here today. They did manage to pick up a win, almost blew it in a game versus the Panthers, with Florida tying it with just, I think, 2 seconds left on the clock. But the Bruins got the win in overtime, and they also have a rest advantage today versus Tampa Bay, 2 days off. Compared to just 1 day off for the Lightning. But some news coming out of Boston this morning. Charlie McAvoy on the IR. So that's a big loss for the Bruins, already missing Hampus Lindholm, your number one and your number two defenders, both out of the lineup heading into this one. So I don't know what that means for Boston, but definitely means that Tampa Bay should be a clear favorite heading into to this matchup tonight. We know Jeremy Swayman is going to start for the Bruins, and hopefully he can work some magic, because a good goaltending performance is probably going to be needed in order to get 2 points in this matchup. So, what did you see out of the Bruins this weekend? Anything positive that you're seeing out of Boston, or is this just a team that's kind of going to sputter along here throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm hopeful they'll sputter. The Utah to make playoffs tickets might not be looking so good, but Boston to miss is trending up, I'd say. So I was happy. I bet on the Bruins on Saturday. Bit of a lucky one. They found a way, I guess, would be the only positive. But I think obviously the market's been pretty high on Tampa Bay entering this matchup. The McAvoy news moved the line as well. But I didn't really have anything on the current prices here. I thought that the adjustments look more or less fair to me.
Yeah, for sure. Another game that I'm a bit interested in here. I do have one player prop that I bet so far, and I might add a side, just depending on this one, where this one goes. I'm a little bit surprised that the Islanders are still sitting where they're sitting, considering it's going to be Marcus Hoberg in goal for the Isles. Ilya Sorokin not feeling 100%. Apparently, he wasn't able to start in Utah in the Isles' final game of their 3-game road trip, a road trip that they swept, in fact, winning consecutive games on the road for the first time all season. They have yet to win consecutive home games this season, though, but they haven't lost back-to-back home games since late November. But yeah, the Isles really struggled at home this season with a .389% win rate at UBS Arena. So that's, previously has been a strength for the Islanders, being able to win the majority of their games at home. But this year, definitely not. And, with Simeon Varlamov on the shelf, and now Sorokin not feeling 100%, that's going to be an easier goaltending matchup for the Ottawa Senators. Of course, Hoberg, former Senator, he won his first game in nearly 4 years in Utah the other night. So, maybe not all that bad, but I like Brady Tkachuk to light the lamp tonight. He only has 2 goals in his last 10 games, but obviously he was on a tear before that. He had 16 goals and 29 games. I might be one off there, but he was on a tear for a while, and of course he's still generating more shots on goal by a wide margin than any other Senators skater, and he's priced at plus 170 heading into this one. So I think this is a pretty good look to get back on the score sheet here. Excuse me, I didn't drink enough water apparently, but I do look at Tkachuk. He scored 4 goals combined in his last 3 trips to UBS Arena, and I think he's going to have a much better chance of scoring a goal here tonight versus the Islanders than he would against Sorokin or Varlamov. And yeah, I think the Isles, they've won 7 of the last 10 meetings against the Senators, including 2 wins earlier this season, both by a score of 4-2. But once again, this is a big needle mover here. I know Sorokin has struggled this season; he's been below average overall, but he's still got a much higher ceiling than a guy like Marcus Hoberg. So I'm a little bit interested in the Senators, but right now at plus 170, I think Tkachuk anytime goal is the play.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. I know I'm tempted by the Senators too. Merrilainen, 6 games. He's been pretty good though. Plus 3.3 goals saved above expected and 913 save percentage. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's the Sens are past there.
Yeah, I mean, he's won 4 of 5 starts, and he was credited with a loss against Edmonton where he played 36 minutes after Ullmark had to leave the game. But that was the second half of a back-to-back. He had played the night before, so I think we can kind of forgive him for that one, right? So, yeah, he's been really good. And, if you're Anton Forsberg, you got to be sweating a little bit because this guy could be stealing your spot on the bench when Ullmark does return to action here, which – according to Jake and the guys over at Coming In Hot, the Senators podcast, sounds like Ullmark not really close to returning. He's skating in a tracksuit apparently, so he's working his way back, but maybe a ways out from actually returning to the crease here. So as long as Merrilainen is continuing to play like this, I mean, he's going to build a pretty good case to stay with the big club when Ullmark does return. Elsewhere, we've got the Panthers back-to-back versus the New Jersey Devils, who are coming off a 2-day break. So that's going to be a tough matchup for Florida. But the Capitals, also off a 2-day break, going to be hosting the Anaheim Ducks. And you're fading the Capitals again, or what?
I was. They were at plus 235. Now they're plus 220. So at plus 235, I thought half unit bet on Ducks was fair, okay. But now I'm a little more indifferent. But yeah, they don't look good. They're really, and we'll see. They shuffled the lines tonight. They're going to put Protas with Dubois and Ovechkin. So I think that gives Ovechkin a much better chance of getting going. I don't know if that's going to help the other two because Ovi really looks like he's struggling at even strength right now. So I think that's kind of the only really interesting notes there. I was waiting to see the goaltending confirmations too, because I thought there was a chance the Caps might go Hunter Shepherd here. Okay. Oh, they've confirmed Thompson. So it's going to be Thompson versus Gibson. So yeah, I definitely pass at that too, because plus 235 was the former number. And that was me hoping that we might see potentially Shepherd versus even Dostal. But Gibson's been really good too. So, but I think at most just tread lightly because I really think the Caps have fallen off pretty badly here. They've done a great job of scraping out wins, mainly because of Thompson and some timely goal scoring. But their play drive, I mean, they don't look good, but the play driving numbers have been also really bad. So I'm hopeful that it's just a little mid-season rut here. They can start to play better, but it hasn't looked very good lately.
Yeah, I'm hoping they can play better too, because a week from today, I'll be taking the boy to see Alex Ovechkin here in Edmonton, and yeah, hoping to see at least one goal from Ovi.
And I have tickets to the game here, so I think the 26th, right? So whatever, bring a good one to that one.
They must be going to Vancouver in between then, eh? I guess.
I'm not sure. I hope not. Hopefully, it's not the second of a back-to-back. That'd be the last thing I want to see.
The only road team today, I mentioned, road teams kind of getting the short end of the stick schedule wise today, with the home teams for the most part coming in off 2-day breaks. But the only road team with a rest advantage today is the San Jose Sharks. They're in Detroit taking on the Red Wings, who are streaking under Todd McClellan. What have you seen from this Red Wings team that you like? I thought the coaching change was going to be a good thing. I thought McClellan was in particular was a good choice, considering I don't know what it was about Derek Lalonde. I think just even based on watching him on the Hockey Night in Canada panel a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, I can't remember, but he seems like a very smart hockey mind. But he does seem like one of those guys that maybe believes in himself a little bit too much, whereas Todd McClellan is much more of an old school coach, and probably what the Red Wings need at the moment, considering they're right on the cusp of pushing back towards a playoff spot here. But they've looked really good, and of course a commanding win over the Kraken in their last game, and they should get another one here tonight versus San Jose.
Yeah, especially Georgiev's been announced, so that really hurts. He's just been commanding the tank for the Sharks here. And I admittedly, I didn't really think that McClellan would get this kind of surge out of the Wings. I look at that blue line, I think it's a huge flaw. So he definitely deserves a lot of credit. One thing he's done lately that I've really liked is putting Marco Casper up on the top line. I've thought he's been excellent all year. I thought and Detroit fans even more so were pointing out very oftenly that he deserved more ice than he was getting. Especially when things were bad earlier on in the year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much this little new coach bounce holds, because I felt like Detroit's problems were going to be tough to solve because of the talent on the back end, but obviously that hasn't been the case so far. McClellan's got them playing really good hockey.
Yeah, 7 wins in a row here. Most of those games were at home. Only 2 games on the road, and pretty light schedule overall. Obviously, they played the Capitals, but as you mentioned, the Caps aren't looking quite as good as they looked earlier this season. So probably a good time to catch Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Winnipeg. An impressive win on the road here, 4-2. They beat the Senators, the Blackhawks, and the Kraken. But then after tonight, they're going to set out on a 4-game road trip in Florida, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Philly. So I think we'll see maybe a bigger test for Detroit going forward here, and get a little bit of a better idea of what this team is all about. What else you got tonight, Nick?
I think let's talk Flames Blues. I was high on the Blues yesterday. Once Wolf was confirmed for that game, the Blues were opening at Bet Rivers was at -134, which I'm sure was hard to get anything in on, but they were around -140, -145 at a lot of places, which I thought was really just not a good number at all. Now they're -165. I actually thought they might have moved a little more than this, but the main thing is that it should be a Dan Vladar start, unless the Flames go back-to-back with Wolf, which they have been riding him more, but it would still seem pretty crazy to see him get the second leg of a back-to-back, given they've almost not even wanted to give him consecutive starts for a lot of the year. And with Vladar in, the Flames have a -20.
Nick, your mic cut out there, bud. I will take over while you are figuring that out. But I was a little bit surprised that the Flames went with Wolf last night in Chicago. Obviously, the Blackhawks, one of the worst teams in the NHL. I thought that would be a spot to start Dan Vladar and save Wolf for the back-to-back against a tougher team in the St. Louis Blues. But as Nick said, they decided to go with Wolf last night, so it will likely be Vladar in the crease. Nick, are you back?
I should be.
Yes,
be good
you
to
are.
go.
You're loud and
clear.
clear.
This Mike Port's a little loose, but the Flames with Wolf are winning at a 113-point pace, and Wolf has been one of the most profitable goalies in the entire NHL. And it's easy to see why. I went to that Flames game on Saturday, which was fun, actually. We sat beside Ron Regier was in the seat next to me, so got some good stories out of him. But I mean, it was easy to see in that one just how big the gap between the two is. He held them in there in the first, and then they found a way to win. And there's been a lot of games like that. So was a little surprising that they didn't go with Vladar last night and get aggressive trying to win both of these games. But I guess, they're kind of like thinking, let's just take the sure 2 points. So obviously a huge drop off with Vladar here. And then to look at the Blues side of things, they're 5-4-1 over the last 10. They have a 60%, or their expected goal share is right around 60% in that time. I think it's, what was it here? Anyways, they're still 60.89. And I think they've still looked more or less good or better than they have been. And I'm not too worried that they're going to fall off too greatly. I think they still have been playing a lot better since they brought in Montgomery. So I think it's a good spot to buy on them versus the Flames, who are playing back-to-back with Vladar in there. So I was really high on the price with the Blues as a side. I still don't mind it, but obviously not what it was yesterday. And then the props I like, I think that going back to Dylan Holloway to get a point, it's been really trendy lately. Still at -120. I think it's a good bet. I think, as I've noted, the Flames have been giving up a lot more goals with Vladar in. And the Flames have been really good with rest advantages. And they've been a lot less effective when they don't have a rest advantage. I think that does come down to the way that they like to play. After the Kings game on Saturday, the Flames are now 7-1-1 when they have 2 or more days off between games. So they've been really good when they're well rested, which also leaves a sample of games where they're a lot less effective when they've been in spots like this. So I think that overall, pretty good look there. And then the other one I like is I still like Matt Coronado to get 3 shots at +128. I've been riding him a lot. I was hurt last night. I had Coronado to score, and apparently his shot nicked Backlund's stick. I'm sure some people were probably on it with me. If you have seen it, it's very hard to tell it hits Backlund's stick. But he's been all over it. He was all over it versus the Kings. I backed him to score in that game. He had another 4 shots last night. He's had 55 shot attempts in the last 9 games, 32 on goal. So I think that this number is just a little long. I really like the way that second line's playing. They're really tilting the ice. So tougher spot than last night, but also getting a much better number. So I think +28 or +128 for 3 shots from him is a good bet.
Yeah, one that I'm interested in here, and I haven't locked in anything yet, but if we do get confirmation, right now he's listed as likely, but if we do get confirmation that Joey Decord will be in goal for the Kraken, then I would maybe consider a bet on Seattle, depending on where that moves and how quickly it moves. But both teams, both the Kraken and the Penguins, playing their 3rd game in 4 nights here, so pretty even matchup as far as the schedule goes, and Seattle would definitely have an edge in the goaltending department if it is Decord versus Jarry, who has not had a good season. He ranks as the 10th worst goaltender among all goaltenders in goals saved above expected right now, according to Evolving Hockey. So that is one that I might consider, but in general, I think a pretty tough slate here. Obviously, you talked about St. Louis and how much that one has moved. So if you didn't get out in front of it, it might be tough to find some value today here. So I'm just gonna stick. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, we've talked about it before, but it's always an important note where these ones where you're likely to get the backup.
Yep.
And I mean, even if the Flames had started Wolf, I don't think you were going to lose value at yesterday's lines. But once they announced Wolf was confirmed yesterday, pretty good spot, I think, to just jump the gun and live with it. So hopefully it works out. And then, I'm with you on the Decord thing. We talked about this on last week's show, but with his win Saturday, the Kraken are now 13-9-2 in games that he's played. So with him in the net, they are somehow a fairly respectable team. And with Grubauer in the net, they're obviously they got to have one of the lowest winning percentages in the league with Grubauer in, I would assume, because they're 28th overall, despite Decord having a good record. So definitely just 2 completely different teams there in Seattle, depending on who they have in goal.
Yeah, absolutely. But that pretty much does it for today's show. Big slate that we will hopefully pick out a few winners here today. But overall, I think a tough one to handicap. So I'm happy with my bets. The Habs at +135, Brady Tkachuk at +170 to score an anytime goal, and possibly the Kraken, depending on the starting goaltender in that one. You want to recap what you have today, Nick?
Yeah, I like Nylander to go over 2.5 shots at -130. I've like we talked about how I was on the Caps, but it's a little past the best numbers. I like Holloway to get a point at -120, and I like Matt Coronado to get over 2.5 shots at +128.
Nice. All right. Well, good luck to you, sir. We will be back tomorrow on Wednesday to break down a small slate and maybe get into to some future stock or something like that. But we will determine that at a later time. Until then, good luck with your bets and enjoy the games tonight.